Hi guys, welcome back to Enough is Enough. XR Troika here, and today we're going to be going over Ella. She's one of the new operators to be released under Operation Blood Orchid. She's going to be coming out of the Polish CTU. We're going to be going over the weapon, we're going to be going over a bit of a recommended loadout, we're going to be going over the gadget and the unique ability and how best to use it. And ultimately, we're going to be deciding if she's worth 22,500 renown for all you non-season pass holders out there. We're going to break it down, give you as much information as possible so that you can decide yourselves whether Ella is going to complement your playstyle and whether she's going to be an operator that you can be successful with.
2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, jumping right into it. This is a bit of gameplay from the new map to be released, Theme Park. I hope you're all enjoying Operation Blood Orchid. I know I am. I really think it's nice to have some refreshing content in the game. And on the whole, I'm really happy with all the things that have changed and all the things that they've introduced into the game. There's nothing so far that I'm thinking, ooh, don't really like that. Absolutely love it all. So jumping on to the details and statistics, the unique ability for Ella is going to be the Gizmot Mine. This is a concussion proximity mine that can be anchored onto surfaces, impairing hearing and causing a dizzying effect. First thing I want to draw your attention to there is the fact that it says proximity. I'm not too sure about this. We'll do a little bit of testing later. I'll let you make your own mind up. Another important thing is that she's a 1 armor and a 3 speed. Really nice to see a powerful 3 speed being implemented. So you can see here that I'm going to be placing my Gizmot mines down. I've just placed one there. I think it's going to be, a popular place for someone to enter the building. Maybe be able to get a cheeky kill with it later. So the gun that I'm going to recommend for Ella is the Scorpion Evo 3A1. This is the submachine gun. It's a 9mm carbine, and the best thing about it is that it's got a 50 round magazine. It's also got a really high rate of fire, over 1,000. So you can see there with quite a high rate of fire and quite a large magazine, you're really going to be able to chain kills together, and you're not really going to have to reload all so often as a defender, which is quite good, because in those sort of final stages where you're making quite an aggressive push, or if people are pushing you, you're able to pick up a couple of kills together without having to worry about losing all your bullets in the first engagement. And I think that may be something that might change in the future. I'm not sure if people are already calling for it to sort of be nerfed, if you will, but it wouldn't surprise me. So you can see here that I'm going to deploy one of the Gizmot mines sort of mid combat, and that's just really how quickly you can deploy them. There's absolutely no limitations with them. It's just like throwing a normal stun grenade. You see there that I held quite a tight angle onto that doorway. Used about 20 bullets, used another 20 odd in the guy on the stairs. Had to do the reload because I only had 7 left, but was able to reload quickly, peek around the corner and get the kill. So you can just see there any other operator on defense, and you'd kind of struggle to chain those 2 kills together. But Ella with the 50 round submachine gun, she can do that with ease. So we're going to move down to Hereford base and do some sort of basic recoil pattern testing. The loadout that I'm using, and the loadout that I'm going to recommend to everyone, is using the compensator with the vertical grip. The compensator in my testing just came out a little bit better than the muzzle brake, I think, and obviously the vertical grip, that's going to help you with your up and down recoil. There is an option for an angle grip, but I don't think that it's necessary. It's a submachine gun, it comes up to the shoulder relatively quickly anyway, and I think that the main thing that you want to be concerning yourself with is making this as much of a laser as possible, and every little helps. So you can see in the first little recoil test that I did there, just opening it up for automatic, the recoil is upwards and to the right. Having seen that, we now know we need to be pulling down bottom left, and in my opinion it's quite good for a gun that's got such a high rate of fire. Opening it up to fully automatic and shooting at the far wall, you can see there that it's relatively easy to manage, and I think that with a little bit of skill and a little bit of practice, I don't think there's any advantage to using the burst over using full auto. Sometimes I quite like using full auto because sometimes I'm going to admit it, hold my hand up, you do get that lucky headshot, but if that's the difference between winning and losing, I'll take it every time. Something else that's really cool about Ella's weaponry is the red dot sight on the pistol. It's a really nice low profile sight, and I think it's going to make shooting drones, any sort of attacker's equipment, and it'll make gunfights a lot nicer on pistols, because often you're used to shooting all the other weapons with a sight. You don't often get the sight on the pistol or the sidearm. There's only a couple of sidearms in the game that you can put a sight on, so it might make those last stand situations that a little bit easier to deal with. Moving on to the Gizmot mine,
5 seconds.
it's really easy to deploy, and I think that you can get really creative with this, and I can't wait to see what people come up with when implementing this. You can see there that when you sort of draw it in your hand, when you press your gadget button, The top of it sort of expands like this sort of expanding sticky foam. Quite a cool little animation. When you throw it down, it starts off as a green light, and then as soon as it's sort of active, it turns to red, so you know, sort of red for dead. And I was really shocked to find out how far you can throw these things. Outside here, you'll be able to see me throw up to 20 meters, which is actually quite a long way. I'm not sure what the practical application of this is. I'm not sure how realistic it'll be in game. Throwing a Grismot mine is very similar to throwing a Valkyrie camera. You know, don't always have to aim bang on the target. Sometimes you have to aim a little bit beneath it. But also that you can't throw them out in the prep phase, and you can only throw them out during the action phase. I can't wait to see all the creative spots that you guys are going to come up with. Like we've said before, the imagination is your limit with these things. They'll stick to pretty much anything, and you can throw them a fair distance. So you're going to see here just how quickly it is to deploy, and you know, this is just sort of me messing around in a custom game, but you could see I could throw that on top of the doorway there without really breaking stride, stick your barbed wire down underneath of it, and you're ready to go. So I really would advise that you sort of place a couple of these down quickly, you know, maybe around the objective just to help you out in those last sort of stages as the attackers are rushing in to try and, you know, secure the area, get the hostage or plant the bomb. And then you'd use a couple to, you know, deny entry and sort of slow people down on the way in and try and pick a kill off early that way. You can see on screen now, I think one of the most popular ways that Ella's Grismot mines are going to be used is placed on the backside of a doorway, and you know, expecting the attacker to walk in through the other side of the doorway and not have any opportunity or any chance to destroy this mine before they do it, and they're just going to have to walk through and, you know, sort of take the effect as it hits them. And the screen goes very blurred. There's a lot of vignetting towards the edges, and you kind of get this little bit of tunnel vision. Couple that with the fact that it goes a little bit green and a little bit hazy. This is going to be quite a debilitating effect for a couple of seconds, and I think it's really going to disorient players. Sound is a massive part of Siege, and if you've got that going on in your ears, it's going to confuse you. You'll be able to see here that if the Grismot mine is deployed whilst an attacker is actually within that area of effect and standing within that area of effect within proximity and has got some sort of line of sight, that the mine will actually just detonate straight away after it's activated. Here we start to play around with the proximity versus line of sight of the Grismot mine, and we've decided that you've got to have some element of line of sight. The mine has got to be able to see the attacker for it to be able to detonate. It's not 100% proximity based. We do a couple of little different tests here that you'll be able to see, and if it's sort of the other side of a inanimate object that can't really be shot through, then it's going to struggle to detonate, but as soon as it sees the attacker, it will detonate. You can see there that we placed it on the other side of this cabinet, and although I was within the proximity of it, it didn't actually go off until it could see me. So again, is this line of sight based or is it proximity? We couldn't really tell. We messed around with it for quite a long time in the custom game, and we kind of came to the conclusion that it needs to see you, but it only just needs to see you. Here you can see that the Grismot mine isn't going to detonate through any sort of solid wall, and I think this just shows that although we need to be creative with these things and try and find places that we can hide them and stuff like that, we need to also be conscious that they need to be able to detonate. So if we're hiding them away so well that people are able to skirt around them without actually detonating them, then they're not really much use. I don't think it's something that we need to try and hide all too much. The effect isn't too bad, and as an attacker you would probably just power through it and you wouldn't really worry too much about it. But having said that, as the defender you want to make the most out of the gadgets that are at your disposal, so you're going to want to try and put them in, you know, high traffic areas that are going to get you results. Something else that you can do with the Grismot mine, if you have one on your person when you're in a down but not out stage, you will actually be able to detonate that. Now bear in mind, this is an area of effect. It doesn't distinguish between friend or foe. I think this is a really nice feature. You've heard the sound a couple of times throughout the game, and it really does sound like you've got your head underwater. So if there is an attacker nearby and you know that you're clear of defenders, detonate it, and it'll just give them a couple of seconds of disorientation, and it'll give defenders a chance to move and not be heard and maybe be able to get a more advantageous position. The only thing that I found that you can't stick it on is a camera. This makes a lot of sense because, you know, sometimes people like to troll and the cameras are there for the defender's benefit, so there's no real point in, you know, trying to throw one onto a camera. But we were just trying to find out if there's anything that it doesn't stick to. Doing a bit of work here to see how the Grismot mine reacts with a semi-permeable surface. So for example, a ceiling or a floor that's been partially blown out, but you can still see the supporting beams running through it. You can throw Grismot mines straight through those if you get it right through. You can also stick them to the beams and they will detonate if, you know, walked near, again based on the proximity thing. And in one case we actually managed to stick it, as you can see there, on the underside of one of the beams, one of the rafters, and when the attacker walked over the top of it, although he would have no idea that it was there unless he was IQ, the Grismot mine detonated. And back to some gameplay. Okay, so try and round all this up. I think that Ella's a fantastic operator, definitely one of the operators that I've played the most out of the latest 3 to be released. If I was to liken her to anybody else, I would liken her heavily to Ash. I think this is because she feels very quick. Her ability is also very quick in the same sense that Ash has got the breaching charge. Ella's got obviously the Grismot mine that we've spoken about, and it's very quick to deploy. Now in the gameplay here, you'll see this is how I kind of recommend playing her. She's certainly a roamer. She's got the 3 speed, so you need to take full advantage of that. As I've said previously, stick a couple of mines down to help the guys that are going to be anchoring out in the objective, and then go out on your own. Place a couple down at popular points of entry. Try and pick off a couple of guys as they come in. Even if you just get some shots in, it's definitely worth doing. And just be prepared to rotate. You'll see in this clip that I actually managed to rotate across the balcony on house, jump back into the objective, managed to get into the box room, pick up the kill on Fuse, straight out into the corridor and pick up the kill on Book. Book was caught in a Grismot mine that I'd placed down on the corridor. So to answer the question, is Ella worth 22,500 renowned for all you guys out there that haven't got the season pass? I think almost definitely. If you like playing off the objective, you've got a decent map knowledge, and if you've got a little bit of experience playing trap players already, couple that with the experience that you've got from playing 3 speed roamers, package it all together, take the best gun in the game, and that's Ella. Thanks very much for watching, guys. Hope you've enjoyed the video. I've absolutely loved making this one. We're nearly at 250 subscribers. If you've not liked the video already, please hit like. If you've got a comment or if you've found something in the video that you found useful, please leave it down in the description below. If you've not already, please hit subscribe. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.